countries move forward when they cooperate, when they come together, when they work together.
Mendoja se është një gjë e mirë si për vendin tonë, si për banorët e këtij vendi, sidomos për rinin.
It's important to have a little bit more patience in order to have our economy thriving.
For over a decade, Albania has been pushing to be part of the world's biggest market, making slow progress. But is that about to change? Russia's invasion of Ukraine has breathed new life into the EU's enlargement process. So in this episode, we've come to the Balkan country to find out how close it is to joining the EU. What economic criteria will it need to meet? Is it really ready? And perhaps most important of all, if Albania were allowed in, who would actually benefit? Welcome to Realeconomy. Albania has emerged as one of the strong economic performers in the Western Balkans. Despite being hit by a major earthquake in 2019, the COVID pandemic and the war in Ukraine, its economy enjoyed a robust recovery in 2021 that continued into 2022. Real GDP growth this year is forecast at 3.3%. That strength is due in part to a tourist and construction boom, but it's also because of small companies like Timac. The firm produces emergency vehicles and already exports to the EU, but its CEO says many of the hurdles it faces would be removed if Albania joined the bloc.
Now we cannot enter very easily to EU market. Some of the biggest challenges are the custom issues and the standard documentations from EU. When a client wants to buy from us, they have to pay also extra custom charges, and sometimes this is the reason why they don't choose us.
The EU's latest progress report shows Albania has a moderate to good level of preparation on developing a functioning market economy. This expert reckons one of the big challenges Albania will face going forward is aligning with the EU's long-term strategic goals.
Le défi de l'économie albanaise dans le cadre de l'intégration européenne, c'est comment l'Albanie ça peut intégrer les politiques économiques du développement avec les grandes lignes de politique économique européenne, y compris par exemple les politiques de la transition énergétique, les politiques environnementales, les politiques du transport ou les autres politiques sociales, fiscales et budgétaires.
Investment in infrastructure is one of the most visible ways Albania is putting its economy on track to join Europe. The country's railway network is being completely overhauled with EU support. That should drive domestic growth and connect Albania to the rest of the Balkans and Europe. Once finished, this stretch between Durrës and Tirana, Albania's two biggest cities, will cut times to around 20 minutes.
Connectivity is the most important aspect. You can imagine the impact connecting these biggest poles, port, airport and Tirana city center, where we have the public transport terminal, which will gather all the infrastructures in one hub.
Tirana began talks with Brussels in July 2022. The big question now is, when will Albania's European dream become a reality? In a moment, I'll speak to Albania's Prime Minister, Edi Rama, about his country's bid to join the EU. But before all that, let's take a look at some of the criteria it needs to meet in our crash course. Albania is one of 9 countries that want to join the EU, the world's biggest single market. To be accepted, they have to protect the EU's democratic values. That means stable political institutions, upholding the rule of law and respecting human and minority rights. Candidate countries also need a functioning market economy. This requires macroeconomic stability, high-quality economic governance, a proper labour market and sufficient infrastructure. Countries must be ready for the market forces and competitive pressures of being inside the bloc. In the case of the Western Balkans, the EU has a special process designed to promote political stability and regional cooperation. Even if a country has aligned with Europe, accession is not automatic. To join the EU can take years and depends on the approval of all member states and the European Parliament. Prime Minister, thank you for speaking to Euronews. Why is it in Albania's interest to join the EU, and why is it in the EU's interest for Albania to join the bloc?
Unfortunately, it was needed Vladimir Putin
for the EU to understand that the Western Balkans are as important for the EU as the EU is for the Western Balkans. And it's a very, very simple logic. It's about integrating. It's about unifying.
The war in Ukraine has given a new impetus to enlargement in EU capitals and Brussels.
So, yes. Sadly so.
Do you have a sense that this time is different?
Listen, it's not just about, Western Balkans in or Western Balkans out. This is just a very, very small matter in the very big puzzle of matters. It's about the relevance of the European Union in the global stage. It's about the economy of the European Union. It's about the competitiveness of the European Union. It's about the capacity of the European Union to decide for Europe.
EU voters are split over further enlargement. How do you convince skeptics that Albania should be part of the EU?
I strongly believe that in all the skepticism about EU and enlargement, there is a lot of, on one hand, ignorance of the facts, and on the other hand, fear fueled by politics for very political reasons.
Fear of what exactly?
The fear is the easiest tool to get more votes by speaking not to the brain of people, but by communicating directly with their guts through bypassing their brain.
2030, what would you like to see?
I know what I want to see, and it's public. We have the 2030 vision, and we are working for it, and we will be there when Albania will be a champion in the region of tourism, when Albania will be a net exporter of energy, totally clean and green, by the way, and an Albania that is very much modern in terms of innovation and new technology.
You say Albania will be ready. Do you think the EU will be ready?
What I know is where Albania will be in 2030. To know where the EU will be in 2030, it's a hell of joint work, and it's a hell of strategic decisions to be taken.
Prime Minister Edi Rama, thank you for your time.
Thank you.